Take a deep breath. Feels good, right? That life-giving oxygen fills your lungs, powering every cell in your body. But what if, in an instant, 10% of that oxygen just vanished? Not gradually, but gone. It doesn't sound like a lot, does it? After all, 90% is still a passing grade. But in the delicate chemistry of our atmosphere, a 10% drop would be a global cataclysm. A silent apocalypse that would rewrite the rules of life on Earth. This isn't just a fun thought experiment. It's a journey into the frightening fragility of our world. Stick with me as we explore the cascading consequences of losing just a tenth of our planet's breath. The first thing you'd notice is the air itself. It would feel thinner, lighter. At sea level, you'd suddenly be breathing air equivalent to what you defined at an altitude of about 3,000 feet, or nearly a kilometer up. For most healthy people, it would be disorienting. You'd feel a shortness of breath, maybe a little lightheaded, like you just climbed a few flights of stairs too quickly. Your body would immediately try to compensate. Your heart rate would spike. Your breathing would become rapid and shallow as your lungs worked overtime to extract the same amount of oxygen from less dense air. But for the elderly, infants, or anyone with respiratory conditions like asthma or COPD, this sudden shift would be a medical emergency. Hospitals would be overwhelmed in minutes as millions struggle to breathe. It would be a silent, invisible crisis unfolding in every city, every town, every home across the globe. Panic would set in quickly. Imagine the confusion. There's no explosion, no alien invasion, just a universal feeling of being unwell, of suffocating slowly. But the real chaos would begin with our technology. Take a look at the sky. Any plane in the air would be in immediate, catastrophic trouble. Jet engines rely on compressing incoming air to create thrust. With 10% less oxygen, that combustion process becomes dangerously inefficient. Engines would sputter, lose power, and begin to fail. Pilots would be fighting not only their failing machines, but also hypoxia-oxygen deprivation clouding their judgment at the worst possible moment. Thousands of commercial flights would effectively become multi-hundred-ton gliders. Their pilots desperately searching for a place to land that may not be long enough or clear enough. The skies would become a terrifying lottery of falling metal. Global travel and transport would cease instantly. And it's not just planes. Every internal combustion engine, from the car in your driveway to the trucks that deliver our food, would suffer. They would run poorly, lose significant horsepower, and produce far more pollution as the fuel fails to burn completely. Our entire logistics network would grind to a halt. Power grids would also face a dire threat. Many power plants, especially those using natural gas turbines, rely on the same principles of combustion. They would become less efficient, forcing widespread brownouts and blackouts just as the world desperately needed communication and emergency services. The intricate, interconnected web of modern civilization, powered by fire, would begin to unravel. Speaking of fire, its very nature would change. A fire needs three things: fuel, heat, and oxygen. Take away 10% of the oxygen, and fires become much harder to start and sustain. This might sound like a good thing at first, fewer wildfires, right? But think about it. Controlled combustion is the engine of our world. A simple campfire would be difficult to light. Starting a car, running a generator, even lighting a gas stove would become a struggle. The world wouldn't go dark overnight, but our mastery over fire, the very thing that propelled our species out of the Stone Age, would be critically wounded. Wildfires that did manage to start would burn slower, cooler, and smolder for longer, releasing different, more toxic cocktails of unburned chemicals into our already compromised atmosphere. While humanity reels from this immediate shock, the planet's ecosystems would begin a slow, agonizing collapse. Plants, which produce oxygen through photosynthesis, would also be affected. While they produce oxygen, they also consume it during respiration, a process that happens 24/7. In a lower oxygen environment, their metabolic processes would slow. Growth would be stunted. Plants would become less resilient to disease and stress. This would have devastating effects on agriculture. Crop yields would plummet globally, triggering a food crisis on a scale humanity has never witnessed. The lush green landscapes we know would slowly fade, becoming less vibrant as the planet's botanical engine sputters. Then come the animals. Insects, the tiny gears of our ecosystem, would be among the first to suffer. Their simple respiratory systems are highly dependent on the passive diffusion of oxygen. A 10% drop would be a death sentence for countless species, leading to a catastrophic failure in pollination. Without bees, butterflies, and other pollinators, the food crisis would accelerate exponentially. Larger animals would fare no better. Predators that rely on short bursts of speed for hunting would find their muscles failing them, unable to get enough oxygen to power the chase. Prey animals would be too weak to flee. The delicate balance of every ecosystem, from the savanna to the rainforest, would be shattered. Marine life wouldn't be spared either. Less oxygen in the atmosphere means less oxygen dissolving into the oceans. This would expand the ocean's dead zones, areas where oxygen levels are too low to support life. Fish, crabs, and even plankton would die off in massive numbers, turning vast stretches of our oceans into silent graveyards. The long-term effects on the climate would be complex and terrifying. Our atmosphere protects us from the sun's harsh radiation. The ozone layer, made of 3 oxygen atoms, is particularly crucial. While the total amount of oxygen atoms in the atmosphere would decrease, the dynamics of ozone creation and depletion would be altered in unpredictable ways. We could see an increase in harmful UV radiation reaching the surface, leading to higher rates of skin cancer and further damaging plant life. The overall atmospheric pressure would be lower, which could subtly alter weather patterns, wind speeds, and storm tracks in ways our climate models have never had to predict. The planet would enter a series of cascading feedback loops. Dying forests would no longer be able to sequester carbon dioxide, potentially accelerating warming, while slower burning fires might release different greenhouse gases. We would have broken the climate in a new and horrifying way. So, could humanity adapt? Could we survive in this hostile, oxygen-deprived world? Perhaps au grim, un reconnaissable existence. The healthy would survive, but life would be lived at a slower pace. Any strenuous activity would be dangerous. The concept of sports, of running for fun, would vanish. Society would restructure itself. Cities at high altitudes, like Denver or Mexico City, would become uninhabitable ghost towns. The global population would be forced to migrate towards sea level, leading to unimaginable conflict and humanitarian crises over resources and space. Our focus would shift from growth and exploration to pure survival. We might develop technologies like personal oxygen concentrators or build pressurized, sealed habitats, but these would be luxuries for the very few. For the majority, life would be a constant, breathless struggle. Human innovation would be driven not by curiosity, but by desperation. Losing just 10% of our oxygen reveals a profound truth. Our world exists on a knife's edge. The precise blend of gases we breathe every second is not a given. It's the product of billions of years of delicate biological and geological processes. We treat the air as infinite, as something that will always be there. But it is a finite resource, a fragile shield that makes everything we know and love possible. T-scenario, while hypothetical, serves stark reminder of our absolute dependence on the health of our planet's ecosystems. The trees, the plankton, the very soil beneath our feet, they aren't just scenery. They are the life support system for Spaceship Earth, and we are the crew, tasked with its protection. The next time you take a deep breath, remember what a precious, fragile gift it truly is. Thanks for watching.